Howdy friends, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I've been in front of the camera. My family and I were sick all last week and we're much better now. Still have a little bit of the tickle, which seems to be the case when I talk to other people about this nasty stuff that's floating around. But I've also been working on a really exciting project, which I'm anticipating will be well received, and I can't wait to share with you all. I'm outside today. My son's just getting ready to come out as well because we got to get some firewood stacking. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how I found my way to herbal medicine, because I'm curious if what is motivating you to seek out channels like mine, following us on social media, can you tell it's Halloween? I love it. If the stories are similar, curious. We've got lots of firewood, but my job today is to find pieces that don't require any chopping. So nice thin pieces, like someone like this guy or this guy. Because my husband's like, I'll just chop wood when I get home, forgetting it was Halloween and we're going to be going out. So we're going to attempt to fill up the wheelbarrow so that way we can start a fire when we get home. This stuff over there looks pretty good too. Thankfully, we have lots of firewood, which makes me super happy. So my story is not too different from a lot of people's stories, in that in some way, shape, or form, most people find their way to herbal medicine, natural medicines, natural remedies, whatever you want to call it, whatever name makes you feel good. We find ourselves there because whatever we were doing originally just isn't working. Didn't work anymore. In some way, shape, or form, whatever system we relied upon failed us. And that is my story to a T. And it started decades ago, actually, when I found myself dealing with severe depression for the very first time. I was in university. Now, of course, looking back, as we get older, we have this beautiful thing called hindsight and hopefully a little bit of wisdom along the way. And it is not the first time that I had dealt with depression, but it was the first time that it was bad enough that I knew I needed to seek outside help. Now, I didn't grow up in a family where any type of natural remedies, herbal medicine, or anything like that was even considered. It wasn't even on the table. If you were sick, you went to the doctor and you did what the doctor said. And, if your ear got itchy, you took antibiotics. That was the environment I grew up in. And so when I knew what was going on with me was not manageable, I went to the doctor. And of course, knowing what I know now, the failures from that system happened really early on, how that system failed me. I was not presented any options at all other than pharmaceuticals. I wasn't even presented the option to not go on them. Not really. It was like, you have to do this. I was told by the doctor that I would be going on antidepressants and that I would have mandatory counseling. And at the time, again, I was at university, had a comprehensive health plan, it was covered, and, I didn't think anything of it. Actually, in hindsight, I do actually agree with the counseling bit. That was probably the most useful of what I went through. But come to think of, when I think back on that situation, that story, that period of time that I moved through, there wasn't a whole heck of a lot of choice. that was presented my way. And I went through what a lot of people who end up on SSRIs go through. So standard operating procedure with antidepressants is, here, try this one, see what happens. And if the list of side effects is something that you're willing to live with, that one checks the box, is the one that you're going to be on. I was also told very specifically how long I was going to be on these for. It was going to be a year. I had, a full year. There was no discussion of any of that either. And it took 6 different medication attempts to find one that had the least amount of side effects for me to navigate. Not none, least amount. And a myriad of side effects. Now, I should really make it known that this is my story. I am not telling you not to do what your doctor says. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just telling you my story. I'm not telling you not to go on antidepressants either, and I'm not telling you to go on them. I'm actually just sharing what I went through. The side effects for that particular one that I ended up settling on was a whole lot of low energy. So I felt like sleeping constantly, but it was better than being up all the time, which is what the other ones seem to do. I had constant dry mouth. And if you've never had pharmaceutical-induced dry mouth, friend, there is no amount of water, lozenges, or anything. It was horrible. Horrible. And then I had a very rapid weight gain. And it was in large amounts. So of course, I'm depressed and now I'm much, much heavier than I was prior. So you could imagine how much that did for my self-esteem and mental state. Not so great. So I did the thing. I stayed on them for a year. And right at a year, I said to my doctor, I want off these things. And let me tell you why. So was I depressed while on antidepressants? No, I can say that, but I certainly didn't feel alive either. That I can say. I often described it as like my soul had been flatlined. Sure, I didn't experience the lows, but there was no joy either. How did I word it once? It was like someone had deflated the balloon of my soul. And I was just this sad, lifeless lump, that kind of went through life, not really experiencing, again, no downs, but no ups either. And almost like a fuzzy sort of feeling, disconnected from who I was. It wasn't a good place. And so was the pain of experiencing depression there? No. But I certainly didn't feel vibrant, healthy, alive. Of course, I'm navigating side effects. I kind of felt a little bit like a zombie, just going through the motions. There was a lot of apathy to life. And so I did my year. The way I talk about it is like it's a prison sentence, but it kind of almost felt like that at the time. I did my year, and then I said I'm off. I don't want to be on these anymore. And man, my doctor fought me tooth and nail. And I was like, look, I did the thing. I did what you told me. I would really like to get off these pills now, please. And so I did. With her help, we weaned me off. And I was promised there'd be no side effects. Oh, golly, were there side effects? Again, this is just my experience, what I went through. Please do not take anything I'm sharing here today as medical advice. I had tremors. I was starting to see things. I was hearing things. I had horrible insomnia. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, the hearing things was the big one. I was like, I kept seeing stuff out of the corner of my eye and almost like whispers. The tremors were really scary because I'm trying to write notes, my hands are shaking, and I felt like I was coming off of hard drugs. And when I told her this, I was told it was all in my head. Thanks, Doc. Now, I wish I could say that my dance with depression was only once, but it happened many times in my life before I really finally figured out, understood root cause, understood a lot of things. And it has been probably 8 years now. Yeah, 8 years now, and it's in my rear view, which is wonderful. But remember, this was decades ago, my first dance with depression, so it did come up again. And that experience shaped me, and it made me seek alternatives. I didn't want to be on SSRIs again. I didn't want to get off SSRIs again. The withdrawal was really scary. Oh, and guess what? Guess that the dry mouth went away, and the fatigue went away, but the weight didn't. That took a really long time too. And so when depression darkened my doorstep again, I decided that there had to be a better way. And at the time I was living on Vancouver Island, which when compared to Ontario, so again, just to put things into frame of reference, I would have been on Vancouver Island in around 2003, 2004. My husband and I moved out there after we graduated university. And it was a very different way of life out there. People were using plant medicine, and they were eating different foods, and they had a slower lifestyle, and there was more exercise and connection with nature. And I was like, what is this? What is this magic, right? Because I remember when I went to the doctor originally, there was no discussion of diet. There was no discussion of lifestyle. Was I exercising? Was I taking neural stimulants like coffee? Was I getting enough sleep? What kind of food was I eating? Was I addicted to sugar? Malfoy, goodness. He likes to be on camera, my cat. And like none of this was touched. Never mind alternative therapy options. And so living in a place where this was a lifestyle for a lot of people out there, my eyes were opened. And that was when I tried, and I don't necessarily recommend this either, because I had no knowledge or education and no money. But I was like, I'm going to try St. John's wort. And wouldn't you know it, it helped. It wasn't the root cause, like I talked about earlier. It wasn't the exact thing that, saved me, for lack of a better term, but it showed me that I had another way. So anywho, I figured I've been doing these videos for so long now, and you guys have been watching my tutorials and learning how to make elderberry syrup with me, and oxymels, and learning about different plants that grow all around us. But many of you maybe don't know my story. So that's part of the tale of Correne and how she managed to find her way to herbal medicine, or at least take those first steps. When I lived on Vancouver Island, I started studying with Dominion Herbal College, right? I started studying with Dominion Herbal College, and then it just went from there, There's more to the tale. I'm not young, so, I've had some years. Malfoy, you want to say hi? Yeah. But I thought I'd share, because I think that the one thing I do have in common with a lot of people is that other systems failed them, which is how they got to where they are. So if that's you, remember there are options, there are other alternatives, and they often work just as well or better than the conventionally held ones. My goodness. All right, I'm going to stop chatting away here. Thanks for watching if you got this far. I've got some firewood to move, and my hands are already cold, so I'm going to get some gloves, and we're going to move some firewood. So that way when we come home from our Halloween adventures tonight, we'll have a nice warm house. And stay tuned for a really amazing program that I've been working on. Get on my email list. If you're not on it, get on the Weavers wait list, because you'll get first crack at this. And of course I'm going to share it here because I want all of you to live amazing, vibrant, healthy, awesome lives supported by nature, herbs, and all the cool things. So until next time.